Hey guys, Carlos Colon here with Georgia Perimeter Homes, and today we're going to be talking about 5 things that sellers do that sabotages their home sale. Hey, welcome back to this week's video. If you haven't already, like, subscribe, share, and then hit that little bell below. That'll give you notifications every time we have a new video coming out for more weekly information. So, this week we're going to be talking about sellers and you listing. Maybe you're thinking about listing a home and you want to know what kind of things to beware of. And so we're going to talk about these 5 things, and there's a lot more, by the way, than these 5. We're just narrowing it down to these 5 as probably the 5 most important. There are other things that you really need to be careful for, but to start off, the number one thing I would say, or at least the first thing, would be when a seller doesn't disclose things, or maybe they leave things undisclosed during the sale of a home. That is a huge deal killer. And one of the main reasons is, imagine if you were buying a home and you had all the disclosures, or supposedly whatever disclosures you had from the seller, and there's a lot of things that you find out during your inspection that they 100% absolutely had to have known about and chose not to tell you. That clearly, at that point, you lose confidence and trust in the seller telling you the true condition of the home. There's a huge red flag. And so if they're hiding this, or maybe they're not telling me about this, what else could they be hiding? That's immediately where the buyer's mind goes to. So at that point, the buyer typically goes, nah, I want to terminate and find something else. Because at that point, if I don't find it, they're not going to tell me clearly. And Lord only knows what other things they're hiding. So, please, if you know about it, disclose it. And if you don't know, be honest. Don't answer yes or no. Go, I don't know. If you don't know the age of the roof, simply say, I don't know. I didn't replace it during my ownership. And that's the honest truth. Start with honesty. Everything else becomes a lot easier. Number 2, bad repairs. I cannot tell you how many times this has killed deals for when I'm representing the buyer. If you're going to, fix, for example, a dishwasher, maybe it's leaking or something, and you, as a seller, think it's been repaired, even if you sent a handyman or whoever out there to get it done, we're going to be doing a final walkthrough. If that was one of the items that was supposed to be repaired, that we're going to run the dishwasher, and if it's still leaking, we have to question whether you're lying to us, number 1, which is probably not the case, or number 2, whether the problem really didn't get fixed. Well, guess what? Well, now, closing's not going to happen until it gets fixed. And it could start this whole argument about, no, I got it fixed, here's my letter. And, well, no, you didn't. It's leaking on the floor clearly everywhere. And now it creates this big headache between the buyer and the seller that could have been avoided. Please hire qualified professionals to handle this work. Get it in writing, what they did, or what they're going to do before they do it, and what they did after they do it. And then at that point, even if you have a video showing that it's working properly, back yourselves up with the amount of information that you need to make sure that we can clearly prove to the buyer, hey, this work has been done. Thank you so much. All right, number 3. Okay, this is going to seem so generic, but it's not self-serving, I promise you. Hiring the wrong agent will kill you so many times in selling your home. And one of the biggest places I see this is in $400,000 homes and above. The reason why this is so important is when you hire a bad agent, and I have to define bad agent here. Bad agent meaning either an inexperienced agent or somebody that's just not a good quality agent. Maybe they have experience, but it's not the quality that you need in order to sell that home. So let's be honest, if you are selling a $120,000 home, you can do that with almost anybody and get that home sold. And so the agent won't be that important. Where if you're selling a $400,000, $500,000, $600,000 property or above, the quality of the agent and the experience of that agent is so crucial. and so important in order to be able to, number one, present your home in the best light when it comes to market, both through pictures, through the description, through the documents being provided. And number two, when it comes to also the negotiation, when a good offer hits the table, an inexperienced agent may not know what a good offer in that market for that price point actually looks like. And so a good agent is going to be your advisor. They're going to give you the right information you need to know, and they're also going to present your home everywhere it's supposed to be presented. A great example of this is if you're selling a luxury property in Atlanta, Georgia. That might be $800,000 or above. Okay, where if you're selling a luxury property in Macon, Warner Robins, Georgia, that might be $500,000 and above. And so luxury is defined by the area in relation to the price point, not just by price point. And so if you take an agent that sells $400,000 properties and that's all they sell in and around Atlanta, that's not luxury. But if you pick that agent up and try to sell a $300,000 or $400,000 home or $500,000 in Macon, now you're making them sell a luxury property. You've got to pray to God that they're going to do the right thing when it comes to doing the right service for you to sell that home, and they may not be experienced that way. So keep that in mind. And so if I was selling a luxury property in Macon, there are about at least 4, if not 5 different MLSs that it needs to be listed in, not just 1 or 2. And that's because of exposure and where people are moving to and from for that particular city, especially in a luxury price point. Number 4, a seller taking too long in making a decision. I cannot tell you how important this is. A great example of this is, let's say that we've got a $500,000 home, and all of a sudden we've gone after the first week, second week, all of a sudden we've got 3 offers on the table out of the blue. Okay, and the seller wants to know everything about every single one of those, which is fine. We do that all the time for every single deal. So we give all the descriptions, every single detail, and I dread hearing these words. Okay, great, awesome. Let me take the offer that I'm choosing. Let me run it by my attorney and see what he says. I cannot tell you how much this slows the process. And the reason why this would kill the deal is I just want you to understand that if you do it this way, and to your discretion, do it however you want. But I just want you to understand, if you do it this way, if I'm the buyer, I'm excited about the home, I submitted an offer, and I may or may not know I'm in a multiple offer situation. Day 1 goes by because you're reviewing, of course. Day 2 goes by, we're thinking about it. Day 3 goes by, you just submitted it to your attorney in order to get an opinion now that you've chosen one. Day 4, we may or may not have an answer from the attorney. I'm waiting all these days for a response. By the second day, what am I, or even myself and my wife, possibly thinking? Hey, I guess they didn't choose us. Let's keep looking at what else might be on the market. And guess what? Now I'm mentally shopping again instead of being 100% decisive on wanting your home. And I'm looking at other options. I might fall in love with something else in the time frame that you decided that, yeah, by day 5, sure, we'll sign it. Guess what? I've moved on. I like another property better now. You've got to understand that time is of the essence when we're dealing with these kind of contracts. And if you're working and you hire the right agent, they're going to advise you properly here right at the gate anyway. And so, if you want your attorney to review this stuff, great. Or maybe you're just pressed for time, or you want to make sure that you take the right time in doing this. In certain price points, you don't have an option here. We've got to sign within the first 24, 48 hours. And, along that note, just so you know, if you're being pressured to sign something within 5 hours of receiving it, that's a red flag too. So about 1 to 3 days, that's pretty standard on making a decision on an offer. Anything past that, that's very excessive. So keep that in mind. And this will actually be a great segue to go into number 5, taking too long to sign documents. I can't tell you how many sellers I deal with that travel all the time for work. You travel all the time, that's not a problem at all. Now, if you travel all the time and you don't have an email address that I can send you documents for you to click to sign, that's the problem. So I've got to wait for you to get back into town for us to sit down and physically review files. That's an issue. Because again, now that's going to take us several days just to even sit down to be able to formally present this for you to sign it and then scan it and send it back over. Again, time is of the essence. Every hour counts when it comes to we've made a decision, sign it, move on. That also means that I may have signed it, but maybe my spouse hasn't signed it and I don't know that, or maybe I think she signed it because we're apart right now in 2 different states and we got to make this work. Well, that's really the agent's job to communicate whether it's been signed completely or not. And so just make sure that all signatures are received when they should be. And if you have any questions about that, shoot a text over to your agent and go, hey, listen, did you get all the signatures you needed? And so, because even one initial will throw things off, one initial missing rather. So I hope this helps, and just think about those things. Like I said, there's a lot more things we could talk about here. And but really making sure that we're being honest and that we're hiring the right people and that we're also doing things in a timely manner is such a huge help in making sure that this goes smoothly and you get top dollar for your home. Thank you so much, and if you have any questions about this, give us a call at 770-314-1285 or check out some great homes for sale at our website at www.georgiaperimeterhomes.com. Thanks. Take care. Bye.